Temporarily halted the travel ban last night. Airlines were told to operate as normal, and that means that previously banned travelers are now being allowed on flights to the United States. So where do they wind up? What happens to them now? I'll put that question to immigration attorney and an immigration law professor, Michael Wilds. For transparency, we should tell you he represents the Trump model agency, and he actually represented First Lady Melania Trump when her immigration status was questioned. So, Michael,
Boris.
Good evening. So specifically about these travelers that might wind up in legal limbo if there's a reversal of this temporary restraining order, what happens to them if they're, again, in the air and land as this thing is reversed?
It's like a giant yo-yo, unfortunately. And you should see the emails and the text messages and the extraordinary delicacy of the counsel that we're giving clients the world and the nation over. These individuals could be stopped on a moment's notice, the way this is going. I doubt that the TRO will be removed. The court is a more liberal court, and the judge would have had to err it after hearing all of the testimony and seeing all the pleadings. They often deferred to the district judge. But effectively, the Trump administration would have a better snapshot this weekend than they had last weekend to handle, in a gentlemanly sense, the individuals that are coming. Let me just give you a little bit of a snapshot, if you can. And I do believe fundamentally the president is a patriot and is well-intended on making America safer. But we have cancer doctors. I have titans of industries. I have all sorts of foreign students that are in school, or parents of very legitimate people that have already had green card cases approved and they're in limbo and don't have their documents, that now have to make decisions between staying put or going. We have a journalist that we're consulting with where there's a delicacy where, God forbid, she's ever put on a plane or not returned properly to the United States. The stakes are very high. The plenary power of Congress is really what rules the roost when it comes to immigration. And unfortunately, the president at this point has used the vacuum created by the deafening silence in Washington to do something, but I don't think he's done it properly. Purely a breach of our Constitution. You're not allowed under the 1965 rendition of the 1952 Act to discriminate based on national origin. And that's what the president did here, albeit well-intended. Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, a lot of other nations have been left out of the loop. Nobody has created any immediate or irreparable harm to us that we couldn't have had a more conceived and a better rolled out program.
Vice President Mike Pence has said that the White House is planning to use all legal measures to get the ban back in place. Obviously, the president has a lot of leeway with executive orders, especially when it comes to something like national security. What else can we expect them to do in any scenario? Let's say that ultimately it's decided that this ban is unconstitutional. What can we expect?
Remember, by the way, the hallmark case that happened in the Obama administration,
right,
that
in Texas.
DACA ended up going to the courts and took months to be adjudicated. We can expect that the government will play this system in the district court and the circuit court and even go up to the Supreme Court. But an executive order doesn't have the foundation as a statute. And again, Congress has not abandoned its responsibility on immigration. It has delegated certain authority to the president, but there are no declarations of war. There's no immediacy to this. And God knows we need a better vetting of some parts of our immigration system. But, you know, we fought pirates in the days of the 1700s, the Alien Sedition Acts. We didn't lose the moral compass that we are to the world and stop taking immigrants, those huddled masses that appear by Lady Liberty. We learned that during the era of the Holocaust, and we learn every week now that we have to set a better standard. It's 2017. We have to make sure that we don't set ourselves up now for the next civil rights movement, which is really a deflection of what we need to do. There is, in my opinion, a tedium when it comes to the war on terrorism, and we have to finish it, but we also have to embattle it properly and by law. And this is a president and the First Lady, I can say, that prides themselves on great compliance and respect for the rule of law. And I believe ultimately we're going to get a better product because of our checks and balances.
And certainly that was put into question by that tweet that he sent out today saying that Judge Robach is a so-called judge. I wish we had more time to discuss that. Unfortunately, Michael Wilds, we are all out of time. Thank you so much for your perspective, though. Straight ahead, we're continuing